$1.89 billion vanished in 48 hours. Just 1 week earlier, investors were buying Lamborghinis, quitting their jobs, telling their families they were set for life. Then came the message no one expected: your account has been suspended. No warning, no explanation, no withdrawal. So what really happened? And why was the CEO an actor? This is the story of HyperFund, a crypto scheme that stretched from Australia to Dubai to the United States. A scheme so bold that its founders hired a fake CEO to convince thousands of people to hand over nearly $2 billion. Here's where things get interesting. It started in 2020. A man named Sam Lee, also known as Zhu Lee, began promoting a new investment platform. According to court documents and the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, Lee claimed his company HyperFund generated massive profits from crypto mining operations. Investors were promised daily passive income. Some plans offered up to 0.5% returns per day. Think about that, 0.5% every single day. If you invested $10,000, you'd earn $50 daily. That's $1,500 a month. No work, no risk. Imagine you're an ordinary person. Maybe you lost your job during the pandemic. Maybe your savings were sitting in a bank earning almost nothing. And then someone shows you this. It feels like a miracle. According to SEC filings between June 2020 and 2022, HyperFund raised approximately $1.89 billion from investors worldwide. The money came from everyday people across the United States, Australia, the United Kingdom, and dozens of other countries. But here's the problem. According to investigators, HyperFund had no real mining operations, no legitimate source of revenue, none. The daily payouts to early investors came entirely from money deposited by new investors. That is the definition of a Ponzi scheme. Yet the founders built an empire of trust. They recruited high-profile promoters, people with large social media followings. One was Brenda Chunga, known online as Bitcoin Beautee. Another was Rodney Burton, Bitcoin Rodney. According to the SEC, these promoters received millions in commissions for bringing in new investors. Chunga alone is alleged to have taken over $3.7 million. She reportedly spent it on a BMW, designer clothes, a $1.2 million home in Maryland, and a $1.1 million condominium in Dubai. But the most shocking part, the face of the company. In December 2021, HyperFund launched a new brand called HyperVerse. They announced a new CEO. His name was Stephen Rees-Lewis. He appeared in a slick, global launch video. He looked confident. He sounded professional. He talked about the future of crypto. There was just one problem. According to a Guardian investigation, Stephen Rees-Lewis never existed. He was a fictional character, a role played by an English actor and television presenter living in Thailand. His real name, Stephen Harrison. Harrison later told The Guardian that he was hired as a corporate presenter for a fee of around $180 Thai baht, approximately $7,500. He said he was asked to use a fake name. He even did his own research online but couldn't find anything suspicious. He had no idea his face would be used to raise billions from unsuspecting people. When he learned what had happened, he told The Guardian, "I am sorry for these people. It's horrible for them." By then, thousands of investors had already deposited their life savings. They still believed in the dream. They had no idea that the CEO was an actor, the mining operation was fake, and the entire house of cards was about to collapse. But the warning signs were already there, and some people were starting to ask questions. What happened next would unravel one of the biggest crypto frauds in history. So how do you raise nearly $2 billion with no real business? You build a machine. And HyperFund's machine was simple, scary simple. Here's how it worked. You buy a membership. Prices started around $500 and went up to tens of thousands. Then every day, money would appear in your account. No trading, no mining, just money. According to SEC investigators, HyperFund promised returns from crypto mining. But here's the truth, they didn't tell you. There were no mining rigs, no servers, no hash rate, nothing. Think of it like this. You put money in a box. The box gives you money every day, but the box doesn't make anything. So where does the money come from? New people, new boxes. That's a Ponzi scheme, classic, old as time. But HyperFund added a twist, a referral system. If you brought in your friends, you got a cut of their investment. If they brought in their friends, you got a cut of that too, 3 levels deep, maybe more. Suddenly, It wasn't just about daily returns. It was about building a team, a community, a movement. And that's how normal people became salespeople. They didn't call it selling, they called it sharing an opportunity. But here's what happens in every Ponzi scheme. The math doesn't work. Let me show you. Imagine HyperFund needs to pay 0.5% daily to every investor. That's 3.5% per week, 15% per month. On $1.89 billion, that's over $280 million per month in payouts. Where does that money come from? Not from mining, not from trading, only from new investors. So the machine has to keep growing, faster and faster, bigger and bigger, because if new money slows down, the whole thing collapses. According to court documents, HyperFund's promoters knew this, but they kept going. Take Brenda Chunga, Bitcoin Beautee. According to the SEC, she personally recruited hundreds of investors. She posted videos online. She showed off her luxury lifestyle. She made it look easy. Rodney Burton, Bitcoin, Rodney did the same. According to federal prosecutors in Maryland, Burton allegedly received over $2 million in commissions. And here's where it gets darker. Some investors weren't wealthy. According to victim statements collected by Australian authorities, people sold their homes, borrowed from family, maxed out credit cards. One investor reportedly put in $200,000, his entire retirement savings. Why? Because he trusted the CEO, the confident man, in the launch video. Stephen Rees-Lewis, except Stephen Rees-Lewis didn't exist. Remember the actor, Stephen Harrison? He told The Guardian he had no idea his face would be used this way. But here's the uncomfortable question. Did anyone at HyperFund care? According to the investigation, no, because the fake CEO served a purpose: credibility. When people see a polished professional leader, they relax. They stop asking hard questions. That's the psychology of fraud. You don't need to convince everyone, just enough people. By early 2022, HyperFund was massive. Thousands of investors across 130 countries. Money flowing in every day. Promoters getting richer. Founders staying in the shadows, but machines break. And this one was about to shatter. Some investors tried to withdraw their money. According to court records, withdrawals started getting delayed, then denied. Then accounts were locked. Support emails went unanswered. Panic began to spread. And then a regulator knocked on the door. The first crack appeared in mid-2022. Investors started comparing notes online, Reddit threads, Telegram groups, Facebook pages. People were asking the same question. Has anyone been able to withdraw lately? The answers were terrifying. Been waiting 3 weeks? My account says suspended. Support won't reply. According to court documents, HyperFund had stopped processing most withdrawals by July 2022. But here's the cruel part. They didn't announce anything. No email, no warning, no message on the website. They just went silent. Imagine waking up one day, you log into your account, you see your balance, maybe $50,000, maybe $200,000. But the withdrawal button doesn't work. You call support, no answer. You message your promoter, he says, don't worry. Technical issues, days turn into weeks. Weeks turn into months. And then you see the news. In late 2022, regulators around the world started moving. First, authorities in Australia and New Zealand issued public warnings about HyperFund. Then, Thailand's SEC got involved. Then the Philippines, but the biggest hammer came from the United States. In January 2024, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission filed charges. According to the SEC complaint, HyperFund was a $1.89 billion Ponzi scheme. The document named Sam Lee and Brenda Chunga as key players. A few days later, federal prosecutors in Maryland unsealed criminal charges against Rodney Burton, Bitcoin Rodney. He faces 11 counts including wire fraud and money laundering. But here's where the story takes a dramatic turn. Sam Lee, the Australian founder, wasn't in Australia. He wasn't in the US. According to reports, he had fled to Dubai. And Dubai doesn't have an extradition treaty with the United States. For months, it looked like he might get away. Then, in mid-2024, Interpol issued a red notice, and Dubai arrested him. According to news reports, Lee is now awaiting possible extradition. His co-founder, Ryan Su, remains under investigation. And the actor, Stephen Harrison, he's back in Thailand. He told The Guardian he feels terrible for the victims. But he also said he was just a hired presenter. He didn't know. The courts will have to decide who knew what. So what happened to the victims? According to SEC filings, most investors lost everything, the $1.89 billion. Much of it was already paid out as fake returns to early investors. The rest was spent on commissions, luxury cars, homes, and probably crypto wallets that may never be found. Some victims have joined class action lawsuits, but recovering money from an international crypto scheme, almost impossible. One investor told Australian media, "I trusted them because the CEO looked so professional. He had that British accent. He seemed real. He was real, just not the CEO." Here's the system-level insight. Ponzi schemes don't die because people are stupid. They survive because fraud is designed to look like success. Early investors actually get paid. That's the trap. When your friend cashes out $10,000, you think, "See, it works." But it only works until it doesn't. HyperFund lasted 2 years. Bernie Madoff lasted decades. The mechanism is always the same. New money pays old money. And the only question is when the music stops. For thousands of families, the music stopped in 2022, and the silence has been deafening ever since. One last thing, if there's a lesson here, it's not about crypto, it's not about greed, it's about trust. We trust faces, we trust confidence, we trust people who sound like they know what they're doing. But trust is not evidence, and a good actor is not a good CEO. The next time someone promises you daily returns with no risk, ask yourself one question. If this really worked, why would they need your money? This has been a Torven Report documentary. We tell the stories of money, power, and fraud. Subscribe to follow more.